We're ready. So, I mean, what are we going to talk about? We've got to talk about how you adjusted your film
how you changed
finally.
it and the new effects that we used.
So let's talk about what the process was that you went through. First of all, you had a series of ideas, and we looked at getting some quite interesting shots. We spent some time sourcing some Barbie dolls and setting fire to them, and getting some really interesting shots. And although everything was really quite cool and had some really good sort of ideas, there was no narrative that was bringing it all together.
It looked really good, and the idea was good. The editing that we were able to use, like the slow motion, the close-ups, like the flames going up.
When we actually put it on the editing,
it just
didn't
didn't
work
as
well.
There was no continuity.
And the way that we expected it to do
it
didn't work.
So you made a really brave decision at that point, and it caused a great deal of stress. But you actually then came back and said, no, that's not going to work. So you rethought your idea. So what was the next step?
We wanted to use some of the shots we'd already used, like with the girl walking down the street, and because we liked the low angle shot, so we changed it to a girl being bullied instead. So then we could still use the same social group and the same kind of storyline behind it, but just without the.
It worked well as we had some of the shots, but they
and
then
able to
suddenly
build around
they kind of changed as well to like potential shots and just like the practicing of them shots, because then we had to like change them, make sure like the lighting, for example, or the like pathetic fallacy, like it was really sunny when we'd done the Barbie one, because we were like creating a build up, the climax for that, but then we had to go back and refilm the same shot.
And this is the idea of continuity, isn't it?
Yeah,
having
with the lighting just
fit.
trying to fit into them all, so we didn't have to colour grade so
much. So the next step then was that you took the filming that you had and you created a new narrative, and the new narrative involved very much centering around this girl who is clearly being bullied, and you established that through a series of really interesting shots. First of all, her reluctance almost in the way she was walking to school, and the use of rain implying the sadness. So that I think that worked really nicely. But then you used some really good high-angle shots over the top of a stall, and some really good low-angle shots underneath this stall of the girl going into a stall, implying her going into a space where perhaps she felt safe, and was escaping from something and locking herself in. But on top of that, you then added the idea of these text messages, and I think you used some lovely effects with not only having the sound effects and the text and the telephone, but you then took your titles and turned them into text elements.
It just enhanced the fact that she was being bullied, because before I don't think it was as clear as it could have been that she was being bullied.
And the audience, I think, is drawn into that narrative really nicely.
We also did that through
to our target audience,
like cyberbullying,
because it's cyberbullying.
And then like adding through the mum shouting downstairs. Like at this age, obviously, like you have a lot of arguments with your parents and stuff, so it kind of enforces the fact that it's not easy at home as well. She's going through a lot.
It relates to most teenagers.
Yeah. I think it's lovely, and then I think one of the most poignant shots is when she goes for the pill box, and then you have that back to the low angle shot of the pills falling onto the ground.
We did that with like a slow motion. We tried that with the camera, going slow motion, but we couldn't get it to be as slow as we wanted. So we went back, and because we'd done the old like idea and plot, we'd done like a flame in slow motion with the iPhone 6. Went back and we did that, but with the pills, and it worked really nicely. Like the way they just all dropped into a total sequence, and there's like the two pills bounced together.
It just like ended it.
It's lovely, and I think what you've ended up with is, although you went through a process of struggling artistically with what you were doing, you spent such a lot of time exploring the camera angles and the shots that you did, and the framing, that you've developed your own, you've developed your language of that, and the number of times I've walked over when you were editing and listened to your conversations, and the media language that you're using in those conversations is marvelous, and the artistic decisions that you were making. I wish I'd come over and filmed them as it was happening, but I can give testimony here about the quality of those conversations, and the quality of the way you not only were having these conversations, but people who were working inside of you were then involved in some of these conversations, and you were offering to them, and they were offering to you ideas that were sparking.
Nice to kind of get like their constructive criticism when you're working in the classroom with like other people and they're near to you. Like they were able to like give us like thoughts. Like when we did the rain effect, we then added the rain effect on, so then we could show like our ability to like edit and what we could put in and use in Final Cut Pro. But where we'd done the low angle view, it shows the pavement first, and it kind of looks like you're standing on a cube kind of. So like Sophia, as our editor, had to like work out, because somebody pointed out in the classroom that you could see where the rain was like bouncing off. You couldn't see the rain bouncing off the floor, it was going through.
Yeah.
So Sophia had to like make sure that shot was a bit lighter, but then fitted with the other one, like colour grading.
To be fair, I think even though we had to change our idea and it gave us like a lot more work to do, I think it helped because obviously we knew how to edit it, and we've got a lot more skills from that.
And you actually edited it very quickly.
Yeah, we did have to put a lot of work in, but because we'd already done it, we kind of knew how to do it, so it made it.
Well, I think like the old idea just meant that even if we had 5 hours of like filming, that was easier to do than like going back, because we were taking the camera home like every weekend, re-editing, then Sophia would be like, oh, this doesn't work, Katie would be like, oh, actually that doesn't fit the sound, like we'd have to then take it home,
lots and lots of footage that ended up being distilled, and I think that is a very important process. And I also really appreciated the sort of networking process that was going on within the class, and the networking in a creative environment, how what other people are doing sparks your own creativity and makes you want to do more and better, and then students coming over and seeing what you were doing were going, oh wow, you know, and we're going away, and everybody was sparking around. And I think as a group that we've seen that happen, that everybody has produced some amazing work.
Well, we really like the idea of like people making like the food and stuff in the kitchen, like that worked really well to give the idea away. Like ours was really simple in comparison to like other people's, where it led to their idea.
Simple but effective.
It sets like her being a young girl, the normality.
We made it too complicated before and it didn't work.
It shows a simple narrative.
By making it more simplistic, we could still use the same effects that they did. Maybe the narrative isn't as exciting, and
I think that's what we've learned. The most simple ideas are the ones that work well, because you can use whatever type of shots, you can use
especially if you look back at previous films that we made that are successful, like they're not a complicated over sequence, they're just
and the other thing that you've discovered that I think has been really nice is it's not copying when you use what someone else has done. It's using the style, using their inspiration, and building from that. And I think that's where your narrative has come from, and that's why the narrative in your piece is so strong, because you've kept it simple and you've learned that hard lesson.